Okay. Well, it's lovely to be here with you, Cami. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
So tell me, where are you now?
So right now I'm near Zurich, so in the north of Switzerland and at the border to Germany, of south of Germany. Yeah.
Oh, how's the weather there? Is it cooling down?
No, it's cold. It was like really a hot summer, like in a lot of different places in the world, I guess. And since 2 days, or yesterday, just yesterday, it went down to, yeah, for me, it's too cold.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not excited about winter. I grew up in hot tropical environments in Australia, so this is not thinking I'm in DC and it's not even that bad really compared to most short
Yeah.
places. But yeah, just that second it gets anywhere below 15 degrees Celsius, I'm done. So I'm trying to just stay positive. But you're a mom of four, so tell me, how old are your children now?
So my first one, Minnie, called Minnie. Her name is Minia. She's 23. She's my first big baby. Her brother, so my son, my oldest son, he just went 18 in July. He's still going to school, taking care of his A levels. So Matura, as they say here in Switzerland. And the little ones are twins and 4.5 years old.
Wow, that's like quite the gap. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I want to get into that with you, but let's start with your childhood. Tell me about how you grew up, where you grew up, and a little bit about your sort of family dynamics.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Today I can say it's interesting because my mother is German from a very little village not far away from Frankfurt, so the western part of Germany. And my father is Chinese, but he's Hakka Chinese, so it's a Chinese minority. It's a very interesting story. They are researchers saying that they came to not 12,000 years ago from the Baikal Lake, and they went to south, crossing Mongolia, then China, and then they were part of China, but then they left. So the first big wave of Chinese people leaving the country were the Hakka Chinese people. So you find them everywhere in Southeast Asia, also in Australia, in Europe. Um, and yeah, so my father was already born in Malaysia. So he has a Malaysian passport, but the Hakka Chinese culture. And my parents made me in Malaysia because they met there. And my mom just discovered then that she was pregnant. She went back to Germany, to Berlin, where she lived at the time. So we are talking about the year 77. And my father was following her. So at my birthday, both were there, married, because they married.
Right.
At the time, I was born in West Berlin, so I grew up in this city, in this island city. And when I was like 11 years old, I changed the parts. So from the western part of Berlin, I went to the elite sports school of East Berlin for rhythmic gymnastics. And when I was 14, it was so in 91, I joined the first national team of both reunited Germanies in Bochum. So I left very early also the city. Um, yeah, so that was a bit my childhood, and I grew up with many different influences because the family from my mother's side, so the German family, um, she has like four brothers and sisters, and each of them married to a foreigner. So we had like a Finnish German family, a Czech German family, Chinese German, Indonesian German. So it was really colorful.
How was it? Did your dad impart much of the Hacker culture sort of on you as you were growing up? Did you learn about that? Was that something that was a staple in your childhood?
No, not really. Because my parents, they divorced when I was very young. And my father went to the US, so he lived there, and it was the problem in my childhood was that my mother didn't want me to meet my father again. And that, of
Mm.
course, you cannot do this. That's what I learned from my children later. And he was trying to meet me. He came to Berlin, but she never allowed him to see me. So the first time I met him, and this is yeah also amazing, was when my daughter was born, because I was 22 when I was pregnant with my daughter. And so she was born. She yeah had like, I don't remember, 2 months. And her father and a very good friend, they told me, yeah, now you have to leave, you have to go out, you cannot stay all the time 24/7 with a baby. And I said, yeah, but what can I do? I was breastfeeding, I was really like a mom. And so I went to cinema, and I saw a film made by Ang Lee. It was Tiger and Dragon. And when I saw this film, I thought, because at the time I was actress, I was a dancer, I was a pop musician, and I thought if I would have lived with my father, it could have been me acting, playing in this performing in this film. And I just went home with this idea because my father was into film, he was into martial arts, and um, and then they told me, yeah, but so have a look if you can find him. And I tried to find him, and I found him quickly. It was yeah, by accident. His sister died in Malaysia from a cancer, and he was in Malaysia in his old house, or in the old house of the family. And I had only this address, and I was writing a letter to this address, thinking I will never have an answer. And I remember it was like 10 days later or a week later, I received a letter by an agent of UPS, ringing at the door, and I received this letter. I just saw Malaysia, and I started crying because I was convinced that this is the letter I wrote, I've just sent recently to this address, which would come back now. And then I opened it crying. Um, and then there were photos falling out of this letter, but it was not a single photo of the photos I've sent. So it was, I just stopped crying. Hey, what is this? And so it was photos of my father, of the house, of my little brother, who I existed already, but I didn't know him, of course. And that's how I found my father. But back to your question, I was always in between the cultures, without, or in the middle of cultures, without having the practice of the culture. So I had a huge interest. I had always the question, how how is it, because in Berlin I grew up with German families, Turkish families, Jewish families, Russian Jewish families, etc. And I was always, already as a child, an observer of everything and everybody around me. And I just saw the differences, and I had like a, how can I say, a big interest to make the experience how it would be to grow up in a, yeah, cultural, or in a family practicing the culture, the traditions. And that's what I found back, in my profession, because then I went to theater, opera, etc. And I'm there. I'm yeah. I followed a very traditional, yeah, apprentissage.
Did you have a different father figure at all growing up, or do you feel like that was something that you missed in your life? Did that sort of impact you in any way?
So I had a stepfather, um, and but the family conditions were not very, yeah, very positive, very warm, very, that there was nothing you could say, but this is physically harming, this body, this child. But the atmosphere at home was very complicated. So by by the luck I've had, that someone just saw my talent in music, in gymnastics, I had the chance to leave my family very early, and that's what I did. And I think that saved a lot from my health, from my
I think it was like
existence.
sort of subconsciously running away a little bit. I went to boarding school very young,
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah,
a
yeah,
ballet
yeah.
dancer, and I think part of that wanting to go away so young was, yeah, when the family dynamics are a little rough at home, it is for some people just important to get out. And I think for me, it really, again, it saved me too.
Yeah, yeah. And this is one part of the story. The other part of the story is that, of course, I created my father. So when I was a child, in my imagination, because I just knew that he, is a martial arts, specialist. He was very known also by the time when he was in Berlin. He had like a lot of, students following him. And so in the dream of this little, girls, yeah, moments in the evening, on days when I was unhappy, also in my family, I just knew I have a father. He's my hero. He's a strong martial arts, practitioner, and I'm his daughter. So, later when I met him, it was also very interesting just to experience all the different, yeah, moments in this process of meeting your father when you are a young adult. But also this, imagination of this father, and saying this is a very positive part, even if the person is not really existent in my life and during the daytime. In the evening time, it gave me a lot of energy, so to
Yeah.
survive hard moments.
And then, so you were 22 when you found out that you were pregnant.
Hmm.
And where were you at in your life? And that was something that wasn't obviously planned. That was, it
So
happened.
no, because, the doctors just before, they told me, a couple of weeks before, they told me you never can be pregnant, never, never.
I,
Um,
yeah, oof.
Now I have 4. So
Yeah. I mean, did that just totally
and
freak you out as a young woman? I mean, I can't imagine
yeah,
if a doctor had said that
yeah,
to
yeah.
me.
It was an old professor yeah, I don't know what the point was, but they told me this, and I was on a yeah, on an important point of my career. I was a child breaker. I was yeah. It was still the time of MTV, Viva, of all these musical channels in TV. And there was the German music prize called Echo at the time. And I just called the label, it was EMI by the time in Cologne, that I won't be there because I need holidays. And I just went away with my boyfriend, with my partner, for a week or 2, I don't remember, to the
And was he
Canary
German?
Islands. He's German. Yeah, he was a very cool graffiti artist in Berlin. So, and we went away. We came back, and I don't know why, but I said something is strange, and I was even not counting the days of my cycle. But I decided to buy a test, even not thinking really that I could be pregnant. Just yeah, I don't remember what the symptoms were, because I did never link it to a pregnancy before, as they told me I cannot be pregnant, and it was my first pregnancy. But so the test was positive.
Oh, I
And
would you just like,
that
what the heck?
was, yeah, but that was, it was really fun. And because his mother, she came from from East Berlin. And I don't know if you know it, but the women in the eastern part of Germany, very early, they had always their children, 19, 20, 21, 22. And she was a couple of times already asking us before, yeah, about a child, and that biologically it would be the best time. And we were just there, yeah, no, no, no. And then we were happy, uh, I think, without knowing what it means. And so I started, just as I was also the very first, um, in the circle of people I knew of my age, having a, yeah, having a pregnancy ongoing. I couldn't ask. I couldn't ask to my mother at the time, because the contact was not so frequent. And so I started reading books, and I was
Did you
calling
turn to?
also my label. It was so funny. My A&R, he was like a man in his 50s, not having a child, just doing career and having
Yeah.
big cars and everything. And I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm 2 now. And he said, what? Yeah, I'm 2. And maybe he thought that she's going crazy now. And, no, no, I'm pregnant. Yeah, but how can you do this? So the reaction was so weird. Like, in 8 months you have the release, and how can you imagine this? And I imagined already everything. With a big belly, we would do a cool video clip, um, and finally his reaction was so negative for me at this moment that I hang up. I just took not even 2 minutes. I thought, that I don't want to continue this, because maybe I'm only this one time pregnant in my life, and I don't want to be surrounded by people who are giving a shit to this, for my life, big moment. And I was calling my manager, um, Alex Grob, and he was asking me what you want to do. A very wise man, already old at the time, like 65, Swiss American, with a lot of life experience. And I said, I want to have my child, and I want to stop the music thing. And he said, okay, so we just stop it. And yeah, that was
That's
the
scary for
first
you, feeling
moment.
like, did you feel any sense of giving up your dream? Or I
No.
think, a lot of us, I don't know, a lot of women just, we feel like we have to give everything up, and there's a resentment maybe there, but you didn't feel that.
No, not at this moment. Um, it was later then when I just learned how the people react on a pregnancy, because they hear someone, I don't know, a producer also in the film business, because I was also actress, and this being actress was more important to me as being musician, even if the success at the time in the music was quite big. And as you said, you were a ballet dancer, me too, because after the gymnastics I was a ballet dancer. That was my life, classical ballet. But I had 2 times a big problem on my on my leg, on my foot, and with 2 operations, and then it was clear I cannot do it. And that was the first cut. I was 19, so I moved to acting by being forced at some point. And later I just made the experience. The people they hear are Cami months, she's pregnant, so she cannot do the project. But even 4 years later, they link a pregnancy to you. You are not pregnant anymore. You are again ready to work. But it's like, I don't know. It was really weird to just to see how they are functioning
You mean like they
and
were
reacting.
almost as if, oh, she can't do the role, or she's mum, she's too busy, she can't do this? Or do you think, was it like
Yeah,
an, yeah,
I had different very bad experiences. So the first one was still during the pregnancy. It was the 3rd month, and if it's the first one, you see nothing. You can do everything if you are young and healthy. And there was a film production, and my agency at the time, they were telling them, but Kami, she's pregnant. First, they don't have to tell it to everybody
like it's a
before
disability.
asking me, but they
Yeah.
did it. So the director, he was calling me saying, yeah, listen, as you are pregnant, it's better that we don't do the project. And it was a big international project. Then it was Erika Maroshan who took over the role. And I was saying, but I'm healthy, I feel really good. And yeah, but my wife, she had like 4 children, and I know it, and you never know, it's risky. And so we started with this. And then, because they have said it already, the media, they started to write about it. So for everybody, I was out because I was pregnant. And then I started again when she was like 10 months old. And then I decided, okay, this is not what is interesting to me, this commercial film business. If I want to do something, I want to do the serious art, so theater. So I will study this. And that was the second time I was admitted at the East Berlin School for Acting and Theater. They have a big renommee in all the German-speaking countries. and they didn't know that I have a child. It was fine. It was a lot of stress. And there was another woman studying, so another student. And it was really hard because when I started the studies, I was finally single mom. My daughter was 2 years old. I started the studies. She had to go to the kindergarten. When she spent time with her father, she was crying. He was calling me, listen, you have to take her. Yeah, but I'm at the university. Yeah, but you have to run immediately and to take her. And I had
Couldn't
really hard
handle it.
moments.
He didn't know what to do.
No, I was in between, and I
Mm.
tried also to talk to the others because we were like a very small class of 5 or 6 people. So I just wanted to explain to, and then the reaction of another young student, female, was, yeah, but you knew it before you have a baby, so you don't study. It was like the reaction on this really incredible.
Do you get so sort of back, what is postpartum, I mean not postpartum, prenatal care like in Germany? In the US it's, you go once a month for the first, till third trimester, and then every 2 weeks, and then
Yeah.
then every week. So what is sort of, is that the same process in Germany? And
So what
how
I
how are
did
pregnant people
at
sort
the
of treated?
time, yeah, I decided finally for having a home birth.
Mhm.
So I had a home birth, and it was
What
so
drove that
cool, so
decision for
easy.
you?
Huh?
What drove that decision for you of wanting to have your baby at home?
Because I met this, how do you call this lady, Sashfam, the lady who is helping you during birth. Um,
Doula?
I met her, and she was specialized to do this. She was one of the first. She was very, very experienced. She had like very big hands. And she was talking to me like she was very decided in everything she said to me. And I met a couple of people taking care of birth situations. So I went to hospitals. I went to this, in Germany, you have this birth places. It's not a hospital. There's no doctor, but there's everything you need. And you can do it at home. And finally, I took the decision at home for her because I thought, being an ex-sportive, high-level sportive, I need someone who's really talking to me and not, how are you feeling today? Maybe I could, I don't know. I didn't need a soft person. I knew if I will go into a process, which I don't know yet, I need someone who can guide me. And she was the person, and we had no complications. Luckily, it was very quick. So from the first contraction until the moment of birth, it was 3.5 hours. So really quick for
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah, I know
And
with again with Raven, it's like they tell you it's gonna be days, and you think you have all this time, but she was really quick too. And I knew it was gonna be quick because my sister and my mom had quick babies, but in your head, everyone's telling your first baby you're gonna be laboring for 72 hours or whatever. And um yeah, so it was like just a shock. I'm grateful, even though it was, all guns blazing. But yeah, just a note out there to any pregnant people, people planning kids for the first time. Just it might not be as
yeah,
slow as everyone tells you.
yeah. And so in Germany, it's like this, that when you are at home, it was like this at the time. Then you have a support every day at home. I think during 2 or 3 weeks. So someone is
Is it
coming.
adult? Wow. And the government pays for that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. So is it a nurse that comes or a doula who comes to the house?
It's the same. How is the word? Because she's not it's the birth,
A
the
midwife?
person who gives you the support during the birth.
Doula. I think doula. And then you have
Yeah, no, it's not a
a
doula. A
postpartum doula.
doula is just there to give you massages and no,
Okay.
really because in Germany it's like
Mm.
this. It's not the doctor. A doctor needs the other person to help a
Midwife?
woman to give birth. Hmm?
The midwife?
Yeah, exactly, midwife. So, and this midwife, she is then coming also to your home, even if you have given birth in a clinic. Afterwards, at home, there's the midwife just checking you,
Amazing.
checking the kid, and if everything is okay, she is, yeah, she's there one time a day, and then
How many weeks did you say that? So that's every day for how many weeks?
is the maximum is, I think, 3 weeks.
3 weeks. That's amazing. I
Yeah,
mean, that's amazing.
yeah. And then if you have a complicated case, I think she can ask for some more
Extension.
meetings. Um, yeah. So that was quite cool. Also for breastfeeding and everything. Everything was new because I was not breastfeeded by my mom. And so I never had someone telling me how it is and how it was, and but everything went fine. It was just a big shock, the classic big shock. The day after birth, I wanted to put on my old jeans because I had this fantasy that, yeah, I give birth and then I know it's just going fine until my knees, and then I cannot put
Yeah,
them
no.
above my knees.
Was there anything that, I mean, for me, I feel like there's so much, but was there anything that you wish you'd known, like postpartum, that you didn't know, that you were like, oh my gosh, like this happens?
I knew nothing about it, and maybe it was the best. Um,
Yeah.
because so you have no sceneries about which you could think too much, and I was just experiencing it. um, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy going into it. And then do you get, so obviously that's great that you get the midwife support. Does the government in Germany, is there any other things in place for mums or babies in that postpartum period? Is there
Yeah,
maternity leave for everybody? How does that work?
yeah, so you can, so also to you can have a training to put everything again in the form it was before the uterus. And so this postpartum training, this is paid also. And then of course all the checkup of the baby until, I think, until 15 or 16 years, then it's paid by the government, and all treatment in general is paid by the government.
So
So
were
you
you
can have you.
out of pocket at all in any of your births?
Hmm?
Did you have to pay anything out of pocket for any of your births, or was that all covered?
No, it was all covered. Um, but because in Germany the system is so, or you have the basic insurance. There's an, yeah, you have to have an insurance. You cannot have no one. Um, you have the basic state insurance, and then you can put on diverse complementary services which you have to pay every month, so it's extra insurances, or you have a complete private insurance. And I think, I don't remember at the time, I think I had the private insurance. And afterwards, when I just decided to study, I changed it to the basic one with some complementary. Yeah.
It's amazing that, yeah, that you have that infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
Did you do subsequent home births with is it your son and then your twins?
Yeah. So it was finally, it was everything um, different because then at the time I went to France. So I lived in France and I was pregnant the second time in France, but went back to Berlin only to give birth. And the twins are born in Switzerland. So I have these the experiences of these three countries.
How did they differ? Like, what would you, yeah, it's kind of, I know it's hard to summarize because there's so much to it, but yeah, how did those three different countries sort of differ in their approach to both
So
prenatal and
in
then having a baby?
yeah, in so the situation of insurance in France is very good, I think. But at the time, I think I kept the German one and I had also the French one. I finally decided to go to Berlin to give birth there because I checked the clinics in Lyon. I was living in Lyon at the time, studying there. And in France at the time, you were forced, indirectly forced to give birth in hospital. And I went to the best one. So everybody said, this is the best one, is a private clinic. And I went there and it was like horrible. They put you on a chair on this gynecologue chair. They fix your legs. I saw this. I said, "What? No!" And you give birth like this, fixed on the chair. And I
You're
was
sitting
like
up?
in this hospital, huh?
You're sitting up?
Yeah, no, it's like laid back as if they examine you, you know,
Okay.
and
Oh,
they
like a
fix your
reclining,
legs there. Yeah, it
like
was
when you go to get a pap
and
smear.
and they were doing works on the building, and so the windows were closed with stones they've put there. This is Nathan.
Hi.
Ja, das hat er für euch gekauft zum Spielen. Geh mal raus, zeig's mal Markus. Zeig's ihm mal. Ja, ich bin in der Sendung. Ja, ich spreche kurz mit Holly.
It's part of the reason I started this podcast is that like I always felt I was having to put Raven in a separate room or something, do a call. Da, 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 da. I'm like, I just want to do something where it's okay if she interrupts me. So you're good.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, so it was for me, it was horrible to think that I have to be in one of these rooms without window and fixed on a chair. And I was so scared of it that I said at the time, no, we like 2 weeks before the term, we just go to Berlin hoping it will be fine. And I did it. So we did it. And with the same midwife again. Um, and yeah, it went quicker, half time of the first kid. So 1.5 hours.
And that was how many years after your first?
Um, it was 5 years
5 years.
after
Okay.
the first. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Minishi is now 23, Mio 18.
18. And
Yeah.
are they close despite that age gap?
Now, yes. At the time, no. At the time, it was just this stressy brother. And Minnie, she was like, we were very symbiotic as she was my kid. We went together to France. I was continuing my studies there. We were in another country. So we were really close, symbiotic. And then, of course, a baby is coming into this situation and it's just disturbing. So Minnie was very jealous, and until I think really until yeah her late teenager years, and then it changed. So yeah, and now they are very, very close.
Nice.
They are calling each other, not every day, but almost.
And what was the biggest differences between that you found just between having a daughter and then a son, just in that early phase of their development?
Um, I don't know. I cannot say my biggest difference was just that really the first time it was really a first time as I knew nothing about it. And I had also these periods, I don't know if you know it, that she had like a couple of weeks and she was crying every night, like 2 or 3 hours. And as her father was a student, I thought all the time, okay, I cannot leave this to him. He has to sleep. I have to take care about it. So I took care about it. And I had the feeling, being so young and experiencing this for the first time without having contact to other mothers, that it will last my whole life. These moments that you cannot sleep, and yeah, finally the second time I knew it and I was much cooler. So yeah, that was a big difference. And
And did you go
yeah,
back to France after? So you had your son
yeah,
in
yeah,
Berlin. You went
yeah,
straight away back to France.
yeah.
And did you
I
get
went
what
back.
was the system there like? Did you get that same support of the midwife coming every
So
day, or how did that system work?
no, 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 no. This I so the first 2 weeks we just stood in Berlin. So I continued what I knew already from the first time, and then we went back, and there was not really a follow up. So I think even to check the baby, yeah, every couple of months I went back to Berlin also to see friends, and I've put it there to check him. um, and the system general is different. This is I just realized also, if you go to, or if I went at the time to the dentist, um, yeah, to clean just the teeth like this, they didn't do it. They were asking why, and I said, yeah, because you do
In
it.
France, they were asking why. Oh
In
my God, I
France,
love
yeah,
getting my
in
teeth
French.
cleaned. I'm one of those people who goes, I paid extra twice, insurance will cover it 2 times a year, but I'll go four because I love it.
And I said, okay, no, it's the next time I'll be in Berlin, I just do it. And I was kind of, yeah, that was new to me. But another support they give, so in France, they are really supportive, also financially, because I don't know if you know it, in France, you have mothers of 5, 6, 7, 8. In Germany, it would be a cliche of a family which is not able to, so kind of really very low social level. So these are the families in Germany with a lot of kids. So this is the yeah, the it's a
In
cliche,
France,
but
it's
of course
more
a cliche is,
acceptable to have a big family than it is in Germany.
yeah, in France it's even supported. So
Okay.
you have these academic moms working and being supported, so very quickly they go back working, and a system is prepared to this. So, or you can have someone at your house, and the state is even financing a part of it.
It's
Or
like a nanny, like a
you
live-in, like a someone
yeah,
there during the day to take the kids.
yeah.
Okay.
It's not an au pair. It's not a nanny. So it's a nanny, a professional one, and coming to your house in the times you need it. And there's a big financial support of it.
And so the government
Until the kid,
subsidizes a lot of that cost.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, until
Amazing.
the youngest kid is 6 years old. So
Mm.
if you have some more kids following, you just continue having the support, and you can
Gosh,
continue your career.
your
That's really
life.
cool.
Yeah,
And I
that's
didn't
amazing.
know that. I just arrived at home, and then of course you have to send all the documents that you have had that you have given birth to a child. And then I received in France, like, I don't remember, 1,000 euro at the time. Just hello, cool that you gave birth to a new one in this world. And I was so, wow, cool.
That's amazing.
I
Oh my
didn't know
gosh,
it.
it sounds like a
So,
dream.
yeah.
And did you go back working straight away, or did you kind of take advantage of having that help?
No, I had that was really cool because with the father of my son at the time, he stood a lot of time at home, and I went back to university because it was my last year. I just took care of my diploma, but they reacted also quite cool, and um, I yeah, and I started also working, and I could also continue my breastfeeding time with him because his dad just came to the opera house, gave me the baby during my breaks. I was breastfeeding and then getting back to the rehearsal. Yeah,
How long did
that
you
was cool.
breastfeed your kids for?
So, my daughter was like 14 months, and then I really was so done with it. I said no, I want to have my freedom back.
Yeah.
It was really like this, but it was a full time, no, not full, she was fully breastfeeded for 14 months, and then we made the break, and I gave her rice milk because I read somewhere that it's the same, how do you say, goo?
Like constitution,
No, yeah, the same. Um,
texture, makeup,
no, no. How it ha,
how it's
I'm missing
processed
the
in the
word.
body.
No, it's the same, not aroma, but the same. Yeah.
I know what you mean. So it's sort
Anyway,
of this, yeah, the
and
same makeup. Yeah.
she accepted it without crying, nothing. So it was so cool,
So you
and
did
so
no
we
cow's
started
milk.
with
You went
rice milk
straight
and
to
eating.
rice milk.
Rice
Okay.
milk, and she started to eat. So yeah.
Chia?
Huh?
So what it was the last bit? What did you say she started to eat?
She and she started to eat everything like
Solids.
olives,
Yeah.
parmigiano, pasta, rice,
Did you go
everything.
straight to giving your babies food that you would eat, kind of, and not do the whole baby food thing? Is that
Yeah,
fairly
I
common
never,
in
because
France?
I tried it with her because someone told me, yeah, now she's like, I don't remember, 6 months, you can just prepare her vegetables. So I did it, I tried it, and she was all the time just putting everything out again on her mouth. She was not eating it. And I was not stressing myself because she was a proper baby, really like a little Buddha with my milk. So no, she never had baby food. For Mio, for the second one, I was breastfeeding him like I think 22 months longer, because I was again very early at university. I was working and I had kind of this bad feeling. I'm taking his mom away by going to work, by going to university, and for this I was breastfeeding longer. Um, and yeah, and I think he started, but he started eating something, but also only at 1.5 years, I think. Before it was not the big interest. And the twins, I was breastfeeding twins, and that's hard, really hard. Like every 20 minutes, all night, one or the other. And I was so disciplined because I was forcing myself, because I said every children of my children will have the same treatment.
Start in life. That's it.
And
Like,
so I was breastfeeding them, but they started eating earlier.
okay.
And I don't remember. They didn't want to be feeded, because I was also starting earlier, because in Switzerland you are forced. In Switzerland you have only 14 weeks of a break, and then you are forced to work again. So there's
Really?
no possibility, yeah,
Did you
or
get
you
a
are rich
paid
enough.
maternity leave? Did the government give you maternity leave or anything in that 14 weeks?
Yeah, so it's like in Germany, you have the right of 18 months for each child with a financial support. If you have twins, you have the double time. In general, you have the right of to be
Ravens?
there for your children 6 years
Okay.
if they are twins, so 3 years for each child. In France, it's almost the same. Or you are there for your children, or you go back to work and you are supported on this or that way. In Switzerland, and in Germany, you can choose. It can be the mother and the father. You can also make an alternation. And in Switzerland, it was 4 years ago 2 days the father, even if you have twins, if you have triple, if you, it's 2 days.
Two days.
And yeah,
Well, okay.
nice.
Yeah. It's
I
always a
was
mum's
shocked.
job,
I
isn't
didn't
it?
know it. I was really
Raven's throwing a
shocked.
cup.
And yeah.
Um, and would so the twins were they born in Zurich as well, or did you go back to Germany?
No, I was living in the south of Switzerland, so it's in the um yeah, they speak Italian there. It's almost Italy. It's like an
Okay.
hour from Milano. So we've lived in Locarno, and as I've had early contractions, like it was from the week 27, I had every 10 minutes contractions, and they just checked me and they said, no, you need to stay in hospital. But in this region of Switzerland, they are not prepared to early births,
Mhm.
so to premature children. So I had to leave to the German speaking part of Switzerland near Zurich, um, because they said, oh, you stay here in Locarno, and if something happens, you will be transported by a helicopter to another hospital. And I said, no, 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 no. I go there. I go there, and then I spent 10 weeks in the hospital with contractions all the time, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then at the day 37 plus 2, the waters broke, and I just had gave birth to them
And so that was in the
in the
hospital, though,
hospital.
obviously, because it's
Yeah,
high
yeah.
risk
For
at that
for the
point.
twins, it was clear that also if I would have been at home, that for the birth, I go to the hospital, because the risk for the second one is too big. That you don't have the time to run
As
into the
a boy,
hospital.
girl, or two girls? Your
No, two
twins?
boys. He
Oh,
has
two
long hair.
boys.
He doesn't
Oh,
want to cut his hair. The
were
brother has
they
short hair.
identical twin? Are they identical or fraternal?
No, two brothers.
No. Um, are they complete? Like how alike are they? How different are they? And did you like what went through your mind when you found out you were having twins?
Yeah, having twins, that was I went to I knew I'm pregnant, that it's early because we just did a test. And then I went to see the doctor because I thought, okay, maybe something happens with my flora. But I had the feeling of something couldn't be so optimal. So I went there, and my partner didn't know that I go to see the doctor. It was Monday morning, and I went there, and I just told the doctor, yeah, please check my flora if something is not balanced. And then I said, yes, and I did a test, and I might be pregnant. And he just was calculating, and he was telling me, yeah, we are not making a sonography. um, do you say it like this in English?
Sonography, yeah.
Like the ultra shell.
Yeah.
And because it's too early, and I said, yeah, well, but we can do it. If we don't see nothing, it's not a problem. And so I come back later again. And then he was checking it, and I saw it already, and he was one, and he continued two, and then he went back one, two, and he thought I'm not able to read the picture, but I yeah,
Could see
I
it.
know it. And he said, yeah, so it's just you are waiting. And I said, yeah, twins. And he said, yeah. Okay, okay. And can I take a photo of it? Yeah, sure. So I took the photo with my smartphone, and I've sent it to my partner when I just went out. And he gave me a call, my partner, and he said, yeah, you sent me a message. And I said, yeah, what do you say? Yeah, I didn't have a look on it, just tell me. I thought it's better that I call you. And I say, no. Have a look on my message, and then you call me again.
Were you planning to grow your family at that point?
Yeah, we said, because he had two children and I had two children, and it was really like we are living a big love together, he and me. And then we said, okay, let's have one together. And I said, yeah, if we go for one. The last time it was like 5 years between the children, was like having two single children, or two unique single childs. And he said, yeah, you want to have two? And I said, yeah, maybe we can, if we decide to go for two, we should not wait so long. And that's the fun fact in this, because I said maybe they were hearing it and say, okay, we give them 9 minutes between one birth and the next one. um,
Amazing.
I thought like 1.5 years maybe, and then we can yeah, go for a
Yeah,
second one. And it
it's
was like,
amazing.
and then I was checking on Google what it means, and I was stopping immediately, because what I found was like a page in German, einer schreit immer. That means one is crying in every moment. That it's a page for twins, for twin parents. And I was so scared, and I said, no, I don't want to read it because I don't want to be so negative. It's yeah.
Yeah, the trouble with Dr. Google. Oh, thanks, Raven.
Yeah.
Did you feel very different having compared to sort of your first one or two pregnancies in your 20s to then having yes, darling, I got you, to having children in your 40s? Did you feel very different, or did you feel like it was almost better
No,
later in?
it was different because I had like complications. So normal complications, as everybody told me, but I've never experienced it before. I was losing blood, for example. For me, it was at every time a really big shock, because just imagining you could lose a child was terrible for me. And but they were checking every time everything, and they said, no, everything is fine. It's just that the uterus is it's growing much faster than in a single pregnancy, so it can also have like little little points where it starts to lose some blood, but it's not health problem, but you don't know it. If you just see you're losing blood, it's like in a pregnancy, it's like yeah. So that was different. Then what was different also, of course, you have like an incredible, or I had an incredible belly. um
Gain
yeah.
double the weight with twins, or
So the from the pregnancy, from my weight, it was, I think, I don't know. I went up from like 54 to, I did not touch the 80 kilos because I said I will have 80 kilos. I will, because it's twins, but no, even just the day before the birth, it was like 79 something. So they never pushed me above the 80s. No, and so Minnie, she was like, I think, three 3,660 grams at her birth. Mio was like 3,850, so almost 4 kilos. And the twins, the first one, Nathan, who was the smaller one, was like
Raven?
yeah, I think three no 2,900 something, so almost 3. And Alvi, the brother, was 3,100. So I had like 6 kilos of baby. I had like 1.6 kilos of placenta, because the two placentas, they just went to one. I don't know why. It was like, and yeah, yeah. And but the birth was really cool. And I don't know if maybe it was the third and then the fourth time that I had the impression that um, I'm consciously there, that I realize how the child is leaving my body, how I take it, I say hello, and then just I feel the second one also arriving. And I was really happy about this, to experience it. Also, maybe because I've spent already 10 weeks in this hospital, that everybody thought she's so experienced mother. She did already 2 times at home. Everything will be cool. And yeah, and I had a very young midwife. She was leading the team, and it was her first twins birth. So she was more under pressure and intention than me, and I had the whole time the feeling I have to calm her. So maybe also for this I was really cool. I don't know.
And
And this was beautiful.
what was the postpartum care like in Switzerland?
It was really chaotic because so we lived at 1,000 meters above Locarno in the mountains. The two were born on at the beginning of February 2020, so just at the beginning of the pandemic. And I think the first time I had the virus was just after birth, because I started having fever, but we decided we go home. And during 7 weeks, I was really high fever. The fever went down again, really high fever. I was so in a such a bad condition, and they didn't know what it was, because everybody thought maybe postpartum complications, but there was nothing. They checked for influenza, it was nothing. But then I've just heard that one of the nurses in the hospital, she had it, and I think I just took it over during the last days I spent there. And because then the pandemic situation started, the midwives did not have the right anymore to go to the home, to people's home, and everything
And
was
but
blocked.
that was typically that would happen if it wasn't a pandemic.
Yeah, no, without the pandemic, you would have had the midwife at home also every day during 4 weeks, I think. Um, and there I had no contact. And the problem was that my husband at the time, he took 2 weeks of holiday, unpaid holiday, for the first 2 weeks. We came home. I had the fever, and the company were just calling him to say him, listen, we need you now. You cannot stay at home. And so I was in the mountains house with 2 newborn twins. The breastfeeding was not functioning. I had the fever. I had no support during the whole day. And I was in bed with them, and I didn't even have the courage to go to the toilet for a pee, because they were crying. And as you know, if you have a baby crying, I cannot leave it there. And both of them were crying. I was crying. It was such an emotional tragedy for me. The beginning was really, really hard because of the pandemics. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really tough time, especially when you're being that sort of that isolated. But I bet the boys love living in the mountains now.
They love it. They are like, and it's when I go to Berlin with them or to another big city, they are like, I say always, they are country nerds, because they know everything in the forest. Her father, so my husband, he is a lumberjack, so he's
Really
every
outdoorsy.
time out and our house in the mountains is the forest is starting right at the border of our garden, and for them it's really really cool. But then we went again to Germany, so now they are Italian speaking, and for them Germany is kind of a foreign country, so everything is new language. I'm talking to them always in German, but they between them they speak Italian. It's so fun also to
Your
see.
husband, where is he from?
He's from this he's Swiss, but
Swiss.
Swiss is from this Italian speaking part of Switzerland, so from South Switzerland. Yeah.
And the boys, have they started school yet, or when did they go to school?
Kindergarten. So they started it's called in this part of Switzerland Asilo Nido. So it's like the first kindergarten, and that was a Steiner institution, Rudolf Steiner, Waldorf. I don't know if you know this. It's like kind of an
Yeah, well, the schools
alternative
they
place.
yeah, they
They
have those in Australia. I remember people going to
Yeah,
those and always being fascinated by it because it was sort of so fringe. But I also hear a lot in the US, and I think it's become much more mainstream now than it used to be.
yeah, yeah. And so they went there, and then afterwards they are now in South Germany, really at the border to Switzerland, in a forest kindergarten, and this is really cool. So the whole year they are outside. If it's raining, snowing, they are all the time outside, and this I think it's for them it's amazing.
Did you have that conscious philosophy that you wanted to, raise them in a quieter place away from the cities? Um, did you have sort of any sort of conscious parenting philosophies going in with any of your kids about how you wanted
Um,
to raise them?
yeah, so I've never made theories or like a list of principles that I say, okay, this is now my architecture of how I want to educate my children. I think I'm really like very open-minded. That's the positive point of the education of my mother. She gave us always a lot of freedom, and this is what I kept. So there's never pressure or tension. It's if a child wants to reach something, it will have its own pressure. So it's not needed that I put something on from the outside. Um, the thing is, being at the countryside is because I always loved it when I was a child, and also I appreciate it. I've worked in Munich, in Zurich, in Berlin, in Lyon, in many big other countries for single productions. And I tried every time to live outside of the city, that I have a quick access to where I have to go, to where I have to work, but then in the evening and in the weekend that I can go out again. Because yeah, it's I need nature to be well,
Mm,
and for the children it's I think, yeah,
so pivotal.
also good experience. And when they get into the teenager age, so many, when I took this my work, when I started my work in Ticino, so in South Switzerland, I was a theater director. Before we've lived in Munich, she said, no, I don't go to the countryside and in the mountains. And she was like 16 at the time. So I said, okay, you can finish the school there in Munich, and then we decided she will join her father in Berlin. and so she was not obliged to come with me to the countryside. Her brother Mio, now he's 18, and I said, you can come with us to Zurich, and no, and he wants to stay at the mountain house, continue her school down in Locarno. And so they also, the kids are different in their, yeah, in their choices.
Yeah, and that's the power to, yeah, individuality. Would you say just overall in Europe and the places that you've raised your children, is there a pressure, especially when they get into school, to, you have to get top grades, you have to excel in this sport, you have to put them in 1,000 after school activities, kind of, I think, the way that so much of the US functions? Or would you say it's more of a just let kids be kids and let them walk in the grass and just be?
Yeah, you have both. I think if we talk about quantities, there are a lot of more parents giving a certain liberty, not putting too much pressure on the children, because we all know that society will put enough pressure enough early on our children, because you have to, we are still in this yeah, also here in Europe, in a society which is asking results from you, results from a company, results from you as an individual. But of what I see, um, my experiences are that parents are more on the, yeah, into a direction of what can we do to balance, and to maybe enlight a certain pressure put by the school, for example, to find some activities, yeah, or in the nature, or in creative fields, to balance a kid's life, the kids today's life. Yeah, and I think this is also the reason, because all these alternative school systems are emerging and growing, that we all see, and maybe we have already experienced it by one or or, or
Mm.
another burnout around us, um, that, yeah, why why living with all this stress and pressure,
Mm.
if you choose it because you are doing something for, I don't know, for the arts, for example.
Yeah,
There I defend something, but it's a different pressure.
it
It's a
is.
different, if you want to go, I don't know, to do like pure art, and you need to be disciplined, and to, but this is for me another pressure than society is asking for. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
for.
I think back, with my own childhood, and I mean, a lot of it self-inflicted, but the sense of, from ballet to, academics to even some random sports that I had no business doing, but I insisted I had to be on that team and be the best. Um, so much pressure. And then you add that to just the growing up, the maladies, the bullying, everything. And I just remember so much anxiety as a child, and how much that carried through into my adulthood and even now. And yeah, when I look at my daughter, I just think I absolutely want none of that for her. And I think there's sometimes a mentality of, well, kids should feel a certain amount of pressure, whether it's be tests or sports or this, because it prepares them for real life. But I don't know if I buy that anymore. I think there's so much time to feel stress and pressure, and knowing how to handle that is very different when you're an adult than when you're a child. And I think
Mhm,
there's just no need for a child to be
mhm.
worried and stressed about getting an A in a maths exam. And I'd much rather my daughter focus on being a kind human above everything else and enjoy her, enjoy her childhood than feeling there'll be time for her to feel stress, and there'll be time to
Mm-hmm.
work out how to handle that stress. But I just think, yeah, children, there's if you can avoid it, do.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I think that the children of today, they are really changing, um, because I experience my children that they are talking to me, the bigger ones, since years, that they tell me all the time, Mom, you're working too much, you're doing too much, you have too much stress, this will this will kill you. And it's like, and me, I'm like, really, I'm into it, as I did all the sports and then dance and then theater, and you give everything for what you want to create, so you give a lot. And um, and for me, it's really a normal life. They cannot understand this, and there's no need to understand this. But I just see that they are very different, because I've learned, being the sportive young girl and then the young dancer, that you have to work, that you have to be disciplined, and this was a normal life without too much childhood outside of this. But for me personally, I've a lot of positive things I can take of all this time, and I just see that the generations, I think, those who are 20 years old, 20, around their 20s, and then also the next generations to come, that they already have really another view on everything and on life, and lifetime quality time much more important than making the big career for a lot of money. That's the impression I have.
Yeah, it
So
definitely is. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And and just lastly, I mean, I could talk to you all day. I have so many questions. And I hope we can, yeah, do a part two down the road. What would you say is something you know now or you knew with your twins that you maybe wish you'd known with your first?
mm, yeah, so it's not about knowing, it's more about um, to give you the value, or to recognize the value you have, just by being you and just by being a mom. This, when I was this young and first time mom, I didn't know, and I don't know what it changes, but maybe, yeah, maybe it's kind of a self love, which you can have just for the fact that you become a mom, or that you have become a mom. Um, this is, yeah, it's kind of values I didn't know, and which I understand right now. This has changed. Um, Yeah, and of course the patience, as I said at the beginning. So the first time, as I was really, really stressed and thinking in the difficult moments, this will last until the end of my life, and I don't know if I will make it. Also this. So the coolness you have then the second time or the third and fourth time, um, if you can have this already for the first time, that would be great.
Yeah. And somehow we figure it out. God bless the generations before me that didn't have Google. I don't know. I feel like I'm constantly Googling the smallest of things. I know, baby. It's time to change your diaper. I know. Well, thank you so much, Kemi. It's so lovely
Thank
to
you.
okay. Okay. To connect with you and I look forward to staying in contact.
Yeah, I thank you.
And I will let you know when this comes out. And I look forward. I'd love to deep dive with you a little bit more about just the education systems and sort of how that all works in Europe. So yeah, I'd love to do that down the road.
Yeah, okay. I thank you.
Awesome. Have a beautiful night.
Yeah, have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Ciao. Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.